Today we're going to have a little talk about the generator, some of the other parts of the early Model T engines. They're kind of unique, and it's just a very interesting little step back in time to understand how engineers were solving problems, trying to make electricity and the mechanical part of an engine in the very early days, how they were making them work. And in this particular case, how the Ford team was getting a Model T engine to work. Ed's going to bring us around, show us some things that he's found and the project he's working on, and I'm bringing you along. So here we go. Okay, Ed, we were talking about the Model T with the weird generator you were showing the other day.
Yeah.
But it was just loose pieces. And it looks like you've got it attached a little bit.
I did. I put it together here. This is one of those motors that we've been working on for quite a while, trying to piece it together. And we were missing one of the pieces the other day because this is a different year block. And sometimes they casted some of the parts into the block. There were additional parts that were bolted on the block to make something happen.
Right.
Like a generator or starter or something like that. So we're missing one of those parts and we're trying to find it. And so that's what we did. I assembled it the other day here. This is one of those motors that I said it had 25 problems, and we were on number 16 or 17.
That's right.
And we're up to maybe 21 or 22 now.
Okay, so let's have an update then.
So we put the flywheel back on here on the crankshaft, and we left the magnets off because we're not going to use them. We're going to run a thing, but this is the flywheel here. It's got with all the magnets. Each one of these is a magnet, like a horseshoe magnet, and they are magnetized right now. And so once these spin around with these little plates here, it would cause juice against the armature part of it here, and that made the spark for the Model T motor.
Right.
And then this is the transmission. We put that on it.
Okay.
And even though here's some of the Planetary gears that with different gear ratio for low gear. There's only had basically one gear, low gear.
Okay.
And then it had a reverse, which was going the other way. It's the same transmission, just backing up. Same gear ratio.
That's right.
Yeah, same gear ratio. Yeah. We got this assembled. Now we got to clean the oil pan and find some parts that were bolted on here, right here in the front. We're missing a little piece.
I see. Yeah, and you got to have them all. You can't just have most of them.
And then this particular one here, it has a part of it. This is the transmission part of it with the levers and things. And then and it had a cover that went on that because it has the oil in it there.
Right.
And this particular one, we have an option.
Okay.
So some factory option guy, not the factory, but made this oil filter.
Okay.
So this, again, the motor oil is the same as the transmission oil. So with this going around, it throws oil everywhere.
Yep.
Like a big washing machine I said the other day.
Right.
It throws oil everywhere. So then once it throws the oil, it might scoop into this transmission and filter some of the rough pieces, the small pieces of it. It actually has a magnet here. And this is the oil filter. So you can have an oil filter in your 1909 Model T.
Okay.
Sort out the big chunks.
At least the big,
Yeah, the big chunks.
The magnet would eventually catch smaller things, I guess.
Yeah. And it would go on the transmission.
Okay, so it goes in between the plate that was
and the
already
cover.
there. Yeah, the cover.
So it's kind of unique.
Okay, so obviously because of the way these pedals are, we see this is the top of the transmission. So this attaches to the top of the engine, I guess, or it mates to the...
On top of the transmission.
Right,
Yeah.
right. This is I'm just going to see these linkages. I know they're not all set up right now, but it's interesting to see how that works.
See that, and all they did was the levers was to squeeze the band. These run shafts in here and squeeze the band like a clutch. And it's the same thing as the new automatics today. It's the same principle.
Isn't that interesting the way that works?
Yeah. But the new automatics today is just it's hydraulic, and then electronics make the hydraulic work and pinch the band. Pinch the band and makes it shift.
Okay.
Even some of the new trucks are 8 speeds.
Right. Yeah.
Some of these things on it. So it's the same principle. They did in they started making the Model Ts in 1907, and they made them up until 1927. 28 was a Model A.
Right.
So that Model A would have had a transmission in it then.
Right.
A separate transmission, a little bit like one of the flathead motors would have today.
Yeah. So I never realized that the Model T, the transmission was really integrated in with the engine and the generator and all that, it wasn't really a separate box.
It wasn't no, it was not separate.
Right.
Yeah.
It was very
It's quite interesting.
It is.
And those guys, they were pretty smart.
Yeah, they were.
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so
When you
too.
think, we're talking about 110, 120 years ago. These were
It was
guys.
better than a horse and buggy.
Yeah.
A little story, I read a book about my grandfather, and they said they were going to town one time. This was back in Ohio, Bryan, Ohio. That's where we grew up, and so in that little book about my family, growing up with 13 kids, and in the 1920s, my dad was driving the Model T to town, and the neighbor man was walking. He said, "You want to ride?" He said, "Sure." So he says, "You can sit on the front fender and hold on the headlight," because the car was full of kids.
Right.
And we'll give you a ride to town. So they probably took him to ride down dirt road someplace going 10 or 15 miles an hour, but you give him a ride to town. Help the neighbor out, and it beats walking.
Right.
But just hang on the front fender.
Always room for one more.
One more, yeah, I'm sure.
Very good. Well, thanks for sharing the update on this.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy, everybody.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna keep documenting as far as we can.
Yeah.
That's good.